Hello lovelies! So if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you probably know by now how very attached I am to my cast iron pan. It's one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, and as far as I'm concerned, an absolute must-have. But caring for cast iron can be a bit daunting. In fact, I get a lot of questions from you guys about the best way to care for cast iron, which is why I thought we should definitely do a video on how to use your cast iron and really maximize its potential. So when you get a new cast iron pan, the most important thing to do is to start by seasoning it. Now first, I just want to clarify what I mean by seasoning a pan. When it comes to cast iron, the concept of seasoning really means greasing it with oil and then sort of baking that oil in so that it absorbs into the cast iron and creates a non-stick surface. As you probably know, if you've ever cooked with unseasoned cast iron, it can be an absolute nightmare when it comes to sticking. But a perfectly seasoned cast iron pan, nothing sticks to it because it's got this really beautiful coating of oil. So, as you can imagine, seasoning is completely essential. A lot of cast iron pans today on the market come pre-seasoned. But I will just tell you from personal experience, even if your cast iron pan says it is pre-seasoned, you should still go through the seasoning process at least once before using it. It's gonna make your life in the kitchen a whole lot easier. So the first step when you're working with a new cast iron pan is just going to be washing it thoroughly with a little warm water and some dish soap. You basically just wanna remove any debris and make it nice and clean before you get your seasoning happening. Once your pan is washed, you're going to wanna make sure you dry it really thoroughly. Of course, water is the enemy of cast iron. So you wanna make sure you get all that water off really, really quickly with a dish towel. Once your pan is nice and clean, you'll want to arrange it on a baking sheet because basically what we're going to be doing is covering it in oil and then cooking it in the oven. Sounds a little strange, but trust me, it makes magic happen. So the oil you're going to select for this project is a vegetable-based oil. You don't want to use something with a really strong flavor like olive oil because that will tend to impart flavor into your food. You want to use something fairly flavorless. So a flaxseed oil is great, a canola oil or a sunflower oil will work really well here. I've also done this many a time with vegetable shortening. That's a great option as well. So I'm just going to take some oil on a paper towel. You could do this with a kitchen towel as well. And I just want to create a nice layer of oil in my pan. I always recommend going pretty liberal with your oil, especially the first few times you season your pan. You want a nice thick layer of oil on the interior of your pan, but don't forget to get the exterior of your pan as well. You want the entire thing to be seasoned. This is going to prevent it from rusting during storage. Once our pan is fully seasoned, we're gonna go ahead and flip it upside down. This will prevent any of that oil from pooling in the center of the pan while it's cooking in the oven. And basically, we're just going to pop it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour or so. So when it comes out of the oven, you wanna let your cast iron cool completely before going to store it. And I'm gonna share a couple great tips for storing your cast iron to ensure it does not rust. First, you wanna make sure it is totally dry before storing it. That's gonna help prevent rusting. You'll also wanna store your cast iron with either a paper towel or a dish towel in the center. This will help absorb any moisture from the air and prevent any rusting. Some people will go so far as to add an extra layer of oil in their cast iron pan before storing it. I'm typically too lazy to do this myself, but hey, it definitely can't hurt. So if you wanna give your cast iron the royal treatment, just give it a quick wipe down with oil before it goes in the cupboard. Now, if you happen to forget any of the tips I just mentioned and your cast iron does rust, don't fret or throw it away. It's actually really simple to restore. Basically, you'll just want to wash all of that rust off, either using some steel wool or a scouring pad and some warm soapy water. Once the rust has been removed, you can go ahead and re-season it just like we did at the beginning of this video, and your cast iron will be ready to use again. Just before wrapping up today's video, I wanna share two really inexpensive tools that will make your life cooking with cast iron that much more enjoyable, starting with this amazing silicone handle cover. Now, what I love about this tool is that when you're cooking with cast iron, the handle of your pan can get really, really hot and can actually be a bit dangerous to touch. You just pop this over the handle and it makes it totally grabbable and easy to work with. What's not to love about that? No burnt hands. The second tool I totally could not live without is this simple plastic pan scraper. It's such a simple concept, but it will make your life in the kitchen so much easier. You basically just use it to scrape up any bits that might have stuck to your cast iron skillet during the cooking process. The best part about this little tool is that it's not just for cast iron. You can use it on basically any dish you want to scrape up those stuck on messes. Guys, I really hope this video inspires you to start cooking with cast iron in your own kitchen. Once you get used to it, you will absolutely fall in love just like I did. And if you have any great cast iron tips that you want to share, be sure to leave those in the comment section below. Finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.